It is 6 o'clock in the heart of the Texas Hill Country, and you're listening to Eat, Play, Live with me, Andi P, the show that's chasing dreams and crushing goals. My goal here is to help you live a healthier, happier, more balanced life. And our focus for this year is learning to love ourselves unconditionally. Well, one way to do that is to stop wasting time on things or people that are not loving toward ourselves, right? People, activities, even eating foods that are harming our health, or at the very least, our well-being. There's a lot of stuff that we have in our lives that just really doesn't need to be there. So tonight I'm going to talk about foods that leave you hungrier. What's the point of that? Exercises you should stop doing right now. Yeah. And the toxic trait of gaslighting. We've all heard of it. What is it? And why do people do it? And why do we put up with it? All those things. So that is what we're going to talk about tonight on Eat, Play, Live. I am so glad that you tuned in tonight because we got a lot of good stuff. So let's get started with our Eat segment and talk about foods that you can eat that actually make you hungrier. That is just silly, right? Totally defeats the purpose. Well, all right, let's think about something like a croissant, for instance. Croissants top our list. Yes, they're flaky and buttery and they go beautifully with your morning latte. Use almond milk or not necessarily almond. You could use soy. Don't use regular milk. People don't need to drink from a cow. Anyway, I digress already. I know it doesn't take long for that squirrel. Anyway, croissants. What they have a lot of is fat and white flour, which give you a lot of calories, but that little light flakiness, that's not filling you up. It's tasty for a second, but it's not going to fill you up. It's not going to make you satisfied. And especially if you're having it for breakfast, supposed to be the best meal of the day and arm yourself to go forward. Well, you're not going to do that very well. With a croissant, you might try something like a poached egg on whole grain toast, which is going to give you both the protein and the complex carbs that are going to start your day off way stronger, and you won't be hungry afterwards. Next up, low-fat yogurt. Yes. Well, the thing is with yogurt is you don't have to chew it, right? And the more you chew your food, the more satisfying that is. So by that measure alone, yogurt isn't going to rate very well. But the low-fat version is even worse because it has sweeteners in it, artificial sweeteners that spike your blood sugar without the dairy fat. Okay, so it's not making you feel full, it's just spiking your blood sugar. So you might try some plain full-fat yogurt. Actually, I like full-fat Greek yogurt is my recommendation. And then go ahead and put some granola, maybe some fresh berries. Blueberries always top our list of foods that are really good for you. Maybe add some nuts, more fiber, more chewing, more satisfying. How about a muffin or a donut? Right? Those are dense and they'll fill you up. Well, the deal is the difference between having a muffin or a donut for breakfast and having a slice of cake is nothing. They're just refined white flour, sugar, fat, nothing that you need, none of the nutrients that you need to really get your day going. So you're just packing in calories without actually satisfying your hunger. White rice, another thing that'll just spike that blood sugar, right? So you're going to notice a trend here. We're mentioning a lot of those simple carbs and foods with sugar that spike your blood sugar. Then you crash, which just makes you hungry again, right? So you wonder why people say you eat Chinese food and you're hungry again right away. Well, generally it has white rice involved, and so that's not making you feel full. Now, if you can substitute basmati rice or brown rice, now we're talking. Those are going to fill you up and not cause that roller coaster reaction. Egg whites. A lot of people, when we're trying to eat healthy, we decide, oh, we'll just eat the egg white and not the whole egg. Well, for one, lame. Eggs are such an amazing little superfood, and all the good stuff, well, the tasty stuff is definitely in the yolk. So leaving out that yolky goodness, okay, yeah, it's going to cut back on the calories. It's going to cut back on the fats, but it's also taking out the amino acids that you need. So the whole egg is like this little complete protein, and your body is using that to build cells. So go ahead and eat the whole egg. Now, sometimes I will tell you, like when I make an omelet, I'll use a whole egg and then I'll supplement it with some extra egg whites. And that way it's a bigger omelet. It goes a little farther, but I'm still getting the nutrients without adding quite as much fat. So that's a little cheat that's built in on that one. Packaged foods with artificial sweeteners. That's a double negative. Yes, especially if they're labeled reduced sugar, right? Because those artificial sweeteners can affect your blood sugar and actually make you hungrier. It may be because you're getting that sweet taste, but you're not getting all the calories that your body is expecting from that taste. So it starts looking for those calories. I know, it's crazy, right? But here's the deal. Like, we keep trying to fool our bodies. I'm going to eat this thing that's masking as real food, and my body won't know the difference. Yeah, it does. Have you noticed that we're not a real healthy population? We got a lot of stuff, right? Stuff that I don't think used to exist in the vast amounts that it does now. Maybe because we eat so much processed food, so many artificial things should not be going in our bodies. They're poison, and we should stop. Okay, yes, soapbox, I know. Fruit juice. Fruit juice, that seems, well, it's not really food, it's a juice. So right off the bat, we talked about the chewing. You don't have the chewing. Well, the other thing you don't have is the fiber. If you eat a piece of fruit, you're going to get the fiber that comes in that fruit. But if you don't eat the fruit, you're just drinking, you get it, right? So your blood sugar spike, crash. Yeah, I know. It's a common theme in this. Next up, same thing. White bread, spike, crash. Maybe try something different. I know. It's whole wheat, pumpernickel, rye, multigrain. There are a lot of different kinds of bread. And you may have decided that you don't like those other kinds of bread because when you were a kid, you didn't like those other kinds of bread, right? We all just wanted white bread when we were kids because we're kids. But now that we're grown-ups, it might be time to just give it a shot because, as you know, our tastes change and you might actually like some of those darker breads a lot more than the white bread. A side note here, though, I have to mention that I did eat some white bread the other day, and I haven't done that in years, but I did. I think, well, I'm sure I mentioned that I've been training for the Hotter Than Hell 100-mile bicycle ride in Wichita Falls, which I did do last Saturday. And yes, I made it to the end, the whole 100 miles. But at mile 80, they had a rest stop and they were serving peanut butter and jelly sandwiches on white bread. And they were cut into the little triangles. Oh my gosh. I had like 5 of those triangles, and I don't feel bad about it because I was at mile 80, so cut me some slack here. My body needed like pretty much whatever it could get at that point. And yes, probably would have been better if it wasn't white bread, if it had been whole wheat bread and natural peanut butter and honey, but are they really going to do that for thousands of people? No, they're not going to do that. So I had the white bread, I had the PB&J, and it was freaking amazing. So don't judge me. All right, moving on. French fries. French fries. Okay, that's the weird thing about potatoes. Potatoes are actually really filling. And remember, our topic right now is foods that we eat and then we feel hungrier after we eat them. Well, most of the time, if you eat a potato, that's not the case. If you have a baked potato, if you boil your potatoes, you make them into mashed potatoes. But the weird thing is when you fry them in oil and then cover them in salt, they totally lose the power of filling you up. And they also gain a lot of fat. And we know where eating too many French fries ends up. Yeah. It's different for everybody. We all carry it differently, but you know for you where those French fries are going to go and where you're going to feel the pain. Last but not least, alcohol. Oh, good old alcohol. I know. I like alcohol too. I don't mean to pick on it, but there's so many ways that it really isn't helping us. And when it comes to feeling full, it doesn't help us. Now, sometimes you drink a lot of beer, you feel kind of full. But the real deal here is that, maybe you have a couple of drinks with friends and your plan was to go home and eat some steamed fish and broccoli. And it doesn't sound good and you don't care. Nachos sound good now, and that's where you're going. So basically, yeah, when you drink alcohol, you're way more likely to eat a lot more calories. So just gotta throw that in. So what should you be eating, right? I'm listing all these things that we shouldn't be eating that are just going to make us hungrier. Well, you know what you should be eating. If you listen to my show at all, take some notes, people. Come on. I know it's hard to retain information, but I give you this information over and over and over. And you can always go back to my Facebook, eatplaylive.andy on Facebook or YouTube, same, and look through some of the past shows where I talk about foods for heart health, foods that are good if you're diabetic, foods for losing weight, and you'll find that a lot of them are the same foods. Yeah, it's kind of a thing with the whole healthy eating thing. Yeah, so go back and watch some of those shows if you want a little bit of a refresher on what you should be eating that will fill you up, make you feel good, make you look good, and do all the good that it should be doing. Now, speaking of doing good versus not doing good, let's move into play. Yes. Well, we know that moving our bodies is, of course, good for us. And who has time to waste on exercise that's going to be ineffective or even worse, risky and possibly cause us to hurt ourselves? We don't have time for that. No, that's not being loving toward yourself, doing things that aren't going to work and may give you more problems than you started with. So I have 7 moves I'm going to give you that you need to ditch. And they're not going to deliver the results you want. So, a lot of times I get these lists and I want to argue with them, but I have to admit these are pretty on point. Okay. So lat pull down behind the head. Now, a lot of these, not all of them, some of these are for weightlifting. So if you do any kind of weightlifting, which you should, it's good for your bones, good for your joints, good for your strength. But a lat pull down behind the head. Well, the problem is unless you have really super mobile shoulder joints and you can keep your spine straight while doing that pull down, you're not doing it properly. And most people don't do it properly. And so you are putting a lot of strain on those shoulder joints. And if the bar is hitting the back of your neck, okay, you could actually injure yourself. You could injure that vertebrae right there. So yeah, let's not do that. That's not good. Another one, military press behind the head. Kind of the same idea, but now you're pressing up instead of pulling down. And again, that is really hard on those shoulders. Plus you're resting the bar there on that spine, and let's not hurt ourselves with that. You can put the bar in front of your face and you're not putting quite so much strain on those shoulders. And as I'm reading through these, I was thinking, you mean the shoulder injury that I've been nursing for years? Yeah. Okay. I was doing all those. And the next one, upright row, pulling your weights, a barbell, a weighted cable bar. You're basically pulling it up under your chin. Well, it can compress the nerves in that shoulder area. I know our shoulders are very problematic when it comes to lifting weights. The nice thing is they respond quickly. So when you work them, you get nice shoulders pretty quickly, and you can see those little spots of definition. And we like to see those. Those look good. But you got to be careful because it's really easy to hurt your shoulders. Another thing that's easy to hurt, knees. Yeah. If you're my age and your knees aren't already hurting, well, they're probably about to. No, that's terrible, but it is what it is. We've been hard on our knees. So if you tend to do leg presses and you cramp your knees really close to you, you could be causing trouble for your knees. Okay, so leg press, you're in a reclining position and you push the plate up with your legs, you bring it down, and it works your quadriceps, your hamstrings, your glutes. Those are front and back of the leg and your butt for those who need it in regular terms. But the greater the motion, the more joints that are worked. And a full range of motion is good, but you gotta just listen to your body, okay? If you're coming in too close and your knees are starting to hurt, don't do that. Yeah, it's too much. So listen to your body, pay attention to what it's telling you. Yes, you're working hard, but if it's pain, stop. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's not the goal here. If you do I don't know why that was hard word to say suddenly. Squats. If you do squats on a Smith machine, those can be dangerous. If you don't know what a Smith machine is, you should learn because those are really cool. It's a really nifty piece of equipment. And yes, they do have one over at Kinesio Fit that I like to use for a variety of exercises, but doing squats on them can be risky because the bar doesn't give, which means your body can be forced into kind of risky positions, and people tend to put their feet farther in front of their bodies when they're doing squats on this machine. So there's just basically the way this machine is set up, you tend to do squats not with correct form. Okay, so I am not giving you an excuse to skip leg day. Do not do that. We do not want a bunch of people with chicken legs out there and they're saying, oh, Andi told me I shouldn't be doing squats. No, just not in the Smith machine. You can do all kinds of other squats. And if you need some advice on different, maybe some suggestions, well, message me, eatplaylive.andy. You can message me on Facebook or Instagram and I'll give you some examples. I'll send you videos. I'll send you links. I'm telling you, I will give you all the info because squats are good for you. Now then, another place people are prone to exercise with bad form is on cardio machines. And it seems like it would be simple enough, right? If you're on a treadmill, you just run. If you're on the stair climber, you just climb. But I've seen this, especially on a stair climber. People will lean so hard on the arm rails. They're like supporting half of their weight with the arm rails. I get it. It makes it easier, but hello, you're totally defeating the purpose and you're throwing your body off. You are no longer in alignment. You are not working the areas you're trying to be working, and you can jar your spine, your shoulders, your elbows, all these different things because you're not doing it right. Do not try to take the easy way out. Dude, those handrails are just like, sometimes you need to grab a handrail for a second, but don't be using those all the time. That's not what they're there for. Then lastly, exercises for spot reduction. Here's the deal. These are probably not risky, but if you're doing strengthening and toning exercises in an effort to trim fat from a specific area, whether it's your thighs, your hips, your stomach, under your arm, whatever, it doesn't really work that way, okay? Because if you have extra layers of fat, abs are a biggie. People will do sit-ups and crunches till the end of time because they want to have a six-pack. Well, if that six-pack is buried under fat, you can do a million trillion sit-ups and crunches and you're still not going to have a six-pack because it's still going to be buried. Now, you may have it. It's underneath there, but it's still going to be covered. Okay, so spot exercises are not going to reveal it. That's why I say abs are made in the kitchen. Eat right, lose the fat. At the same time, do your ab exercises. Do whatever exercises you want to do, and you will reveal the muscle underneath, the tone underneath. So, that's the way that works. I know. Love yourself by exercising. Yes, that is a great thing to do, but don't waste your time by doing things that are not helping and might even hurt. Yeah. All right, let's live a little. What is causing us to not love ourselves in the life area? Well, It could be a person. It could be someone doing something that causes you to question yourself. Do you know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about gaslighting. Okay, those of you on Facebook Live, what is happening with my hair right now? I'm sorry. Every once in a while I get distracted because I have like funky things happening. My barrette got caught on my headphones. Yeah, okay. Whatever. Anyway, I'm sorry. Oh, squirrel. What is gaslighting? Have you heard of gaslighting? This is a term that I actually heard, I don't know, only a year or two ago for the first time, and I really didn't understand what it meant. But lately, everyone from politicians to celebrities is talking, they're using this term, gaslighting. But what is it? Well, a lot of times it's used incorrectly. Okay, so no wonder it can be a little confusing, but people will think it's describing any argument that you don't agree with. But that is not the real deal. Real gaslighting can actually be a form of emotional abuse. It happens when someone, whether it be a partner, a parent, a friend, a boss, they're not just challenging what you're saying, but they're challenging what you know is true. And they make you question your beliefs and maybe even your sanity. Like it's kind of major. So where did this come from? Where did this term suddenly, well, it's not suddenly at all, as a matter of fact. The term gaslighting is from a 1938 play called Gaslight that was then turned into a movie in 1944, and it starred Charles Boyer and Ingrid Bergman, which I've not seen, but I am definitely going to watch because, again, I hadn't heard of this. So Boyer plays a scheming husband who tries to convince his wife that she's lost her mind. Not really a cool thing to do. But as part of his ruse, he dims the gas lights in their house and then tells her that she's imagining the change in the lighting. How about that? So that is where this term started. And I don't know what took it so long, but now it has become a very frequently used term. So why? Why do people do this? I don't really get it. But like other types of abuse, gaslighting is a way to gain control over somebody else or a situation or even the gaslighter's own discomfort, right? It's simply manipulation. That's what it is. So how can you tell if it's happening? How do you know? How do you distinguish that? Well, gaslighters use a lot of techniques to gain power over you. One method is to just deny something that they said or did. I didn't say that. I didn't do that. I don't know what you're talking about. If you question their version of events, they pretend to forget or accuse you of remembering it wrong. You know, that wasn't the way it happened. You just remember it wrong. Well, when you push back, then they'll minimize your feelings or call you crazy or say that you're too sensitive, you're confused. They might even just completely change the story to make it seem like you're the one that's at fault. So there are a lot of ways to tell that this is happening. I mean, that one, they're changing the story. They're just straight up lying. There's really no other way to say it. But so how does that affect you? You've got somebody in your life, somebody that you interact with regularly, especially, and they're doing this. What happens? Well, after it's been going on for a while, you might start to really doubt yourself, doubt your feelings, doubt your memories. Am I remembering this correctly? Am I losing my memory? Am I forgetting? It doesn't make sense. It's not lining up with what I know. So you might wonder if you imagine the events that are in question, or maybe you're just being too sensitive. You may find yourself apologizing for things that you didn't do, or blaming yourself when things go wrong. Or maybe the person who's gaslighting you is a loved one and you start making excuses for them because other people are seeing what's going on here. I know. This kind of toxic stuff really messes with our heads. So we got to know. Are we being gaslit? Well, healthy relationships, healthy interactions should not include this behavior. Healthy people don't do this to each other. Okay? So keep that in mind. It's not you. They're the ones doing this. It's manipulation. It doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. It can be a boss-employee. I have definitely seen that happen. Family members can do it to each other. Any kind of family members, a child, a parent, a cousin, whatever. Even a salesperson who might be trying to manipulate you. Oh, no, that's not what we agreed on. It can happen. So be aware of that. Now that you know the signs, watch for them in your relationships. Try talking to a friend. Like if you're questioning this over here, you're questioning this conversation, talk to someone else you trust. And maybe they can kind of see it more clearly and let you know, that's what's going on here. And protect your mental health. Protect your mental health. Exercise, meditate, use relaxation techniques, get counseling. If it's really profoundly affecting you, do what it takes to take care of you. Do not let somebody else's behavior, somebody else making you feel a certain way, do not let that bring you down. No, don't give them that power. They don't have that power over you. What else can you do? Well, if you think you're being gaslit, rather than just, sometimes we just have poor communication. We've had a disagreement. Duh. Okay, that happens. But if you're really being gaslit, you can try to talk things out with that person. Not going to say that that's probably going to go real well, but you can give it a whirl. What you've got to do is communicate your needs and set clear boundaries. Boundaries. I know. How many years does it take us to learn to set boundaries? A lot of us, it takes most of our life. But, oh my gosh, it just changes things so much when we learn how to do that. So you may need to take notes or even record conversations with people who are gaslighting you. Okay, you need to have a record of what was really said so that you can go back to that. And when they try to twist the narrative, you've got stuff to back it up. I can't look at it on my phone right now, but I actually have an app that will record because there is someone that I have to interact with fairly frequently that I have to record every conversation. Just do. Because you got to protect yourself and set those boundaries. I'm not going to put up with it. I'm not going to put up with you changing the narrative. So don't let them get it twisted. Stay close to a support network of family, good friends, people who care about you. Stay close so that when you start to doubt yourself, they can smack you upside the head and tell you, stop it. It is not you. It is not you. And if all else fails, and if you can, and you have someone in your life that just continues to do this to you, end the relationship. End it. I know. It's hard and we're nice and we feel guilty and we don't want to hurt somebody else's feelings. Well, sometimes it's hard to get through this show without using words that I'm not allowed to use on the radio, but that is their problem. If it comes to it, just cut them out because you are more important. You loving yourself is the most important, and they may just have to go. So if this is an ongoing issue with one particular person, bye. You don't need it. All right. So I hope we're all feeling better about gaslighting right now. I'm serious. Somebody told me that someone was gaslighting me a couple years ago, and I was like, I don't know what that means. So now you know. Find out. Do something about it. I'm Andi P, and I want to remind you that you are stronger than you think. You are smarter than you know, and you are so worthy of all the good that is coming your way. Take it, embrace it, go with it. Yes, you got this. Oh, I hope you'll tune in right here each and every Thursday at 6 p.m. on Lone Star 102.5 FM or on my Facebook Live, eatplaylive.andy, because that's where I'll be. Until next week. thank you so much for tuning in and joining me on Eat, Play, Live.